Morning, everybody, and good evening to our friends from the US. Thanks for taking the time. For everyone on the call, so we have Jarom, our president, and we have Scott, our COO, and later in a couple of minutes we will have Chuck, our CEO, on this call today. This morning, in for them it is midnight, so I appreciate really they took the time to talk with us today. Um, I hope this Zoom webinar finds you all safe and healthy, and your families too. These are for sure interesting times we are facing right now. Um, we are all facing kind of restrictions and limitations in our daily life. I call it's an interesting time because I see there are two things happening right now. Our life has changed a lot, but I can see that the focus in life has also changed. It is more, you can focus more on your family, you focus more on those people that are really close to you. And I'm not 24 anymore, so I'm 55 this year, and I cannot imagine in my entire life that I saw a phase where countries and governments of countries all over the world are taking so much care of their people, and that we are taking care of those who are, I want to call them fragile, like the elderly people. I don't think that this would have happened in the same way 50 years ago. I think the world was colder 50 years ago, and I see this and I appreciate this, that we are taking care of our families and our friends and those who are in need more than we did maybe 2 decades or 3 or 5 decades before. We all see those bad news on TV. Maybe some of you or most of you know cases of COVID in their neighborhoods or in the villages, or even hopefully not in their families. And we hear from companies that are suffering right now because of the crisis, because of the lockdown situation in many countries. But I also see other stories. Yesterday, I met a lady who is running a corn mill, and she's running that corn mill since many, many years. And it was always her dream to run a corn mill, but for many years she was struggling to earn enough money with that corn mill. Right now, she cannot satisfy the demand. So this is interesting to see that some industries and some companies might lose this time, but also other companies, they might come out of this crisis stronger than they've been before. And I'm very happy and I'm very proud that we obviously, with our business, with our experience in doing online business and our experience in doing this kind of webinars and meetings and get together, we might come out of this crisis stronger than before. We are looking back to a couple of weeks with the extremely good results. The month of March all over the globe for ASEA has been a very, very good performance month. And as it looks like, even April with the Easter holidays is performing well. And that makes me very proud and very happy. And also it gives me a feeling of comfort that at least I do not have to worry about my future, and my financial future, and I do not have to worry about my income. And that is very comforting to me. And this is also why we have our guest today on this call. I mentioned before, we have Jarom, our president, Chuck, our CEO, and Scott, our CEO, on this call. And I would like them to share their experience with you, and also to give maybe some information about the status of the company, where we're at right now, and what we are doing, what measures we are taking to make sure that this company stays financially healthy and well. With no further ado, I would like now to give the word to Jarom Webb, our president. Jarom, please.
Hello, Jörg. Can you hear me okay? Thank you so much. And hello to our amazing associates in Europe, all over Europe. I feel honored and grateful to be with you on this call and to share a few thoughts with you. I hope that each of you are doing well, and that your families are doing well during this difficult time. We are super mindful of each of you. We're mindful of your families. We're mindful of what you are going through. It is an unprecedented time, and we think about you each and every day, and you're in our thoughts constantly, and everything that we're doing each day at the organization is for your benefit and on your behalf as we work through this together. I'm grateful to join you on the call. Chuck and Scott and I are going to share some thoughts with you just about, some updates and maybe share a few personal thoughts around this situation and how we should be responding. What I'd like to do is just take a few minutes and share some thoughts that I've been having as of late about ASEA and about where we are today. First of all, I wanted to say that we're going to make it through this, and I truly believe, but I believe very strongly that we are going to be stronger than ever as a company as we come out of this. And there's a reason for that I think is important to consider. And that is because everything has changed and yet nothing has changed. Everything has changed and yet nothing has changed. What do I mean by that? Our entire world has really been turned upside down in just a matter of weeks because of this global pandemic and the disruption and turmoil that is caused in each one of our lives. It's been amazing to really see the kind of really change and disruption that this has caused in such a short period of time. It has completely changed people's mindset and view on life and how to move forward. And I think that people have now a deeper concern and an increased focus on aspects of life that may not have been as top of mind before this pandemic. I was reading an article recently that talked about some of these mindset changes that this COVID-19 challenge has done for people, has made in people's lives. And the article talked about things that they felt like areas of life that would prevail for many, many years to come. In other words, would likely be permanent changes to how we operate, even coming out of this challenge. So let me give you a few examples of some of those changes, some of those mindset changes. The article talked about a focus on health like never before, an awakening, if you will, or a consciousness about protecting and preserving health like there's never been before, where people are mindful and aware of what they're doing and what they're consuming and how they're responding to try and protect and preserve their health. People are the article talked about a deep focus on stability. It talked a lot about when people are in turmoil, they look for what is stable and constant in their life. What is it that they can count on? And there is a deeper craving for things that provide stability in life when there is such turmoil in the world. This article talked about that people have a deeper focus on life's priorities and are really starting to ask themselves the question about what really matters most. That there's a deeper focus on family. There's a deeper focus on perhaps things that they can and should be doing to better their circumstance in their life. People have a stronger desire for hope or an expectation or a desire for a better life coming out of this. Certainly this article that I read talked about different approaches to how we interact with people, certainly with social distancing, how we get things done, how we conduct business, how we provide for our families economically. Entire industries have been upended, and people are now needing to rethink how they move forward. It's amazing I was reading this article, and I was just thinking about, just in a very short period of time, everything seems like it's changed around us, and it's only taken a few weeks to do it. And as I thought about that, I thought about ASEA, and I thought about this concept that with ASEA, really nothing has changed. Now, of course, we as a company have had our fair share of impact from COVID-19, and there have been ways that we as a company have had to respond to that. And I think Scott and Chuck will talk about that in just a minute. But we really are the same company that we've been for 10 years. A legacy, stable, consistent company. We haven't changed. Virtus had a vision for this company that included becoming a legacy, sustainable company that can bless the lives of millions of people for generations to come. And so even amidst this pandemic, we have the infrastructure. We've built the infrastructures to support and sustain growth. We're 10 years strong. We're profitable. We're healthy. We're a stable company. So in that respect, nothing has changed. We have a redox technology that has been and continues to make a huge difference from the inside out and from the outside in. It's a unique technology. Nobody else has it. It's exclusive to you and to us as we share it. Nobody else can have it. So we have a very, very unique and powerful redox technology that's making a huge difference in people's lives, particularly as there's an increased focus now on health, on protecting and preventing, protecting our health. We're in an industry of network marketing that provides a very significant financial opportunity, an opportunity for someone who perhaps has been displaced from an industry or a job, and they don't have any options, nowhere to turn. With very little experience, very little capital, financial capital, and very little risk, they can start a business and be able to provide an income for their family during this period of time and really restart their lives into a whole new situation. And at ASEA, of course, with such a unique and special product, it creates a very, very unique and special opportunity. We're an e-commerce business where you can essentially begin and conduct an entire business from your home. And people are doing that all over the world right now. We as a company are a culture and a community where you can build a team that has a common vision and a common purpose, where you can participate in personal and professional development and training, where you can really be part of a community of people and create connections during a period of time when, frankly, the world is telling us that we need to be distancing socially, where we can actually be part of a team that creates those connections in a culture. So in so many ways, as I think about our company, we are the same company that we've been for 10 years. We have the same message. We are the same stable company. But in a world where everything has changed around us, where chaos and turmoil is all around us, where life has been turned upside down for so many people, and where our focus and mindset has truly been altered, ASEA becomes a light in the darkness. ASEA is stability and calm when it is so needed in the world. ASEA can be a solution of hope for so many that are looking for ways to, and that are focused on, from a mindset standpoint, ways to improve their situation. And so I am grateful. I find myself extremely grateful to be a part of a company that in many ways hasn't changed, and it can be such a powerful solution for people in such a difficult time. I don't believe that we should force ASEA upon anybody. People need to obviously have the choice to come to ASEA, but we offer such a powerful solution at this time that I am grateful. And I think that it's well within what we should be doing to share what we have and share this solution of hope with everybody that we can. So what an opportunity that exists in our 10-year anniversary as we look to come out of this over the next few months and return to normal. And hopefully we will. But what an opportunity for us to be able to leverage what we have as a company when everything has changed and yet nothing has changed. So that's my message to you tonight. I just wanted to share those thoughts because I feel really strongly about that. I do want to express gratitude to each of our associates for all that you guys are doing, all that you guys continue to do. And I just want to express our love and our commitment to each of you as we move forward. We're going to make it through this together, but just know that we are committed to you, and we are committed to continuing to move ASEA forward. And I believe that we are going to be stronger than ever coming out of this situation. So with that, Jörg, I'm going to turn it back to you, and then we can have Scott and Chuck share a few thoughts with folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jarom. I think that was great. That was just brilliant. Thank you very much, and thanks for staying up for us late at night for you in Salt Lake City. With no further ado, I would like to hand over to Chuck now, who can share some figures with us maybe and the state of the company.
Good morning, Jörg. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. It's kind of, I apologize for, I had some technical difficulty getting on, so you can see there that I'm signed in as Jarom Webb, so I suppose I can say anything that I want, and he'll get in trouble for it. It's great to be with you. Jörg, thank you for the invitation. I was just sitting here thinking, so I was on, so we were on a call with Jörg this morning at 8:30 Utah time, which would have been afternoon New York time. So you went to bed, Jörg, and are now getting up, and we haven't been to bed yet. And we've got a meeting with Jörg tomorrow, our time at 9 a.m. So he'll be up all day, and we'll go to sleep here for a few hours. And then, so it's funny how our lives are constantly intertwining. As Jarom mentioned, what a crazy time we're experiencing right now. If you just go back really a month and a half and look forward, it would have been hard to write a script that would have been as impactful and as life-changing for a lot of people as what we're experiencing right now. And first and foremost, and we mean this with all sincerity, our thoughts and primary concern are with each of you as individuals and with your families. We know that Europe has been hit very hard in different areas, and that some of the isolation procedures have been very strict and difficult, both physically and also from an emotional standpoint. We know that many of you have been through many difficult things. It's upended routines, upended lives, and we can talk about business, which I will in a few minutes, but I think it would be really insincere and insensitive not to express primary concern over the people at ASEA. One of the things that I do when I wake up first thing in the morning, which tends to be earlier and earlier these days, is I have a number of news feeds that I look at that are reflective of all the markets that we operate in around the world. And just very quickly try to get a sense of what's happening in different parts of the world where we operate. 33 countries around the world. The majority of those are actually in Europe. And we know that each of you are dealing with this in different levels based on your government's response. And just know that our thoughts are with you. Sissel, I don't know if you're on the call. I appreciated the email this morning. I apologize, I actually have not had a chance to get back to you, but just the update on the folks that you shared with me. And we want to know how people are doing. We want to know of our ASEA associates who have been impacted or family members who have contracted the coronavirus. We've been fortunate in that very, very few of our associate base and none of our employees globally have contracted it. We know a few of our associates have, and our thoughts are certainly with them. One of the things that I was reading about, one of the major things that we're dealing with here in the United States is massive unemployment. Upwards of 20 million people in the last 3 weeks really have filed for unemployment benefits. Europe has a much better safety net, to be honest with you. Europe, I was actually just reading an article as that the unemployment impact of the virus is not as widespread in Europe, and that's largely because of many of the social safety nets that exist, and probably a lot of other parts of the world will learn lessons from your model and how you've handled this. We've been fortunate in Utah, where we are headquartered corporately and where our production is headquartered, in that we've really had pretty minimal disruption to the business. And I'll talk just for a few minutes about the business. We are located in Pleasant Grove, Utah, which is in Utah County. And interestingly enough, different counties have different restrictions. Where I live, north of our corporate office, about 45 minutes north of our office, it's actually stricter in this county than it is where our corporate office is. As a result of that, we have been able to continue running our manufacturing at full capacity. And that's all I'll say about that, because Scott's going to get into that here in just a minute and some of the logistics. We gave all of our employees who felt like it suited their circumstances better the option to work from home. In the corporate office, about 80% of the employee base is working from home, as are the folks there in the Munich office are all working remotely. We're fortunate that long before this actually became an issue, that we had the technology and the ability to actually do that. And for the most part, you should not have experienced any significant service disruptions. There certainly have been some logistical challenges, more so in Asia and of course in Northern Italy. Scott can get into that as well. Northern Italy was hit particularly hard by the virus. And one of the things that we've been doing is through the Advancing Life Foundation, the charitable giving arm of ASEA, we have been making a number of contributions to different organizations that are, one of which was established a field hospital just outside of Milan, Italy. And they're also doing some work in the United States. Also an organization called Doctors Without Borders, which is a group of doctors who travel throughout the world to try to alleviate where the virus is hitting very hard. They're on the ground there, and we've been donating to that organization through the Advancing Life Foundation. And also, one of the issues that we will see as a fallout of this is that as unemployment continues to grow, and it will grow more severely in some markets than others, but incredible pressure and demand on food banks, places where people go as a last resort to actually obtain food. So the Advancing Life Foundation, just recently, we made the decision to fund a number of food banks around the world that are in very, very short supply. Just to give you an example, here in a couple of cities in the United States, people were waiting up to 5 to 8 hours just to be able to get a handout of basic necessities that they need in their home. So we're very fortunate as an organization that we have the financial wherewithal and staying power to be able to make those kinds of contributions. It's important that you understand that the majority of those contributions come from you, our field associates, and then for every contribution that is made by an associate or by an employee to the foundation, the company matches that 100%. So it allows us to do a lot of good in a lot of different places, and hopefully you will feel proud being affiliated with an organization that is putting the humanitarian and the humanity side of this first over the business aspects of it. As I mentioned, that we have been able to keep the business operational. That is not something that a lot of businesses can say. Depending on the type of industry that a lot of other people are in, they've seen complete shutdowns of their operations. As Jarom mentioned, our model of network marketing, which is largely driven by e-commerce, while it's been disrupted from the standpoint that we don't have the ability to really meet in person, and as you all know, that we've had to cancel a number of events. In fact, every corporate event really has been canceled all the way up through July. And we're taking a wait and see approach as to what will happen after that period of time. Part of the difficulty in all of this, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen. We all know that eventually some of the physical distancing things are going to have to change. I think everybody's a little bit nervous as to what that means in terms of whether there's a kind of a revival of the spread of the coronavirus. We just don't, there's just a lot of unknowns, and a lot of times the unknown is what can be the most frightening and scariest to people. Through all of that, as we look at the first quarter, we're now heading into April, so we've completed the first quarter for the company. We're actually significantly ahead of plan on our sales number and also on the profitability of the company. So we are not naive to the fact that we know that the economic situation of people, as it changes, it will potentially put downward pressure on our business. But we also know that situations like these and economic uncertainties can actually be a big attractor to our business. We know that maybe people who would not have considered network marketing as a viable alternative are now looking at things differently. And that's going to be interesting to see the implications of that long term. But we certainly have heard stories and seen people who are being attracted to something that they feel like is more in their control. And just to reiterate what Jarom said, the company is very healthy. A lot of times people look at what's happening with financial markets around the world and wonder what kind of impact that has. We actually hold all of our financial positions in cash, so we're not impacted by the fluctuations in the global markets. One thing that we are impacted by quite significantly is the strength of the US dollar relative to other currencies around the world. And we do have to monitor that. And quite frankly, we were thinking that we were going to have to make some price adjustments in some of the markets that you reside in, and that's actually something that, after a long deliberation today, we've decided to hold off on, just not feeling it was the right thing to do given the global situation. So we're going to continue to absorb that as a company for as long as we possibly can. So just know that there is a lot of good that's going on throughout the world. And as difficult as a situation like this is, and why we would certainly never elect or select or desire to go through something like this, the optimist in me always says that there will be good that comes out of this. We will emerge from this. Don't know exactly when, but we will. We will come out on the other side of this, and the important thing is to look back and say, what lessons did we actually learn? What lessons did we learn as individuals? What lessons did we learn as a society? What lessons did we learn about being part of a global community? What's really interesting, as we sit in any number of meetings, and Jörg is in the majority of these meetings, you know, in the past, we would have isolated incidents around the world, whether it was a volcano erupting in the Philippines, whether it was an earthquake in some part of the world, in Mexico, any number of things. They were generally isolated to a particular region. This is certainly the first thing that I know in my lifetime that I've experienced, and probably for most of us in our history, where this actually impacts the entire globe. And so we are all in this together, literally. We are all experiencing this as a global community. We're experiencing it as a ASEA community. And it's been amazing to see the resilience of our field associates adapt to how they do business, to the leveraging of technology. And we're fortunate that our business model allows us to do that, and that we can still continue to make product and deliver product, and keep the engine running. We'd want you to know that as alone as you may feel, isolated away in your home or wherever you are spending your time, know that there is an entire team of people behind you, supporting you, working every day to try to make the job that you do as easy as possible, and to remove as many of the barriers that you encounter. And I'm constantly amazed at the dedication and professionalism of the corporate staff, who everything that they do has you as their end goal in mind, and knowing what you do and the important work that you do in sharing ASEA as a product, as a financial opportunity, and sharing the culture and spirit of this company. So we know that without you and your dedication, none of this would exist. We would not have the ability to make the contributions that we are to different charities and the social contributions that we make. But just take away, again, knowing that our concern is primarily right now with individuals and families, but the business is very healthy, and we continue to grow, and we have the wherewithal to withstand some bumps in the road. It's not like if this plays out longer than we anticipate that we're going to be necessarily in trouble. Our financial team does a very good job at managing our cash reserves and making sure that we have the necessary funding and cash on hand to maintain operations. And we're fortunate, because not a lot of companies can say that right now. We do not anticipate having to lay off or furlough any employees. And that's also a tremendous blessing, that we're not having to have discussions right now about cutting back on employees, which ultimately impact each one of you, because every employee fulfills a critical role to make the organization run smoothly. And so I just again like to express appreciation to all of you for your leadership through this, and just know that there's a lot of people who are relying on you for strength that you may not even realize. You'll be a source of strength and a beacon to a lot of people right now, and having the opportunity to reach out to people that you maybe haven't talked to in some time and reconnect on any number of levels is probably something that would be welcome for those folks. So again, just like to express appreciation to Jörg and Reinder and Edward for their leadership, for all of their doing to keep things moving forward. You have remarkable people and working to support you out of the Munich office there, and they have tremendous respect by their colleagues and peers back here in Utah. So again, hang in there. We know it's tough. We will get through it, and we'll get through it together. And keep us apprised of your organizations, of people that you may know of that do become ill. Pass that along to your upline diamond, or and they can pass it along to Edward or Reinder or Jörg. But we definitely want to know about these individuals. So with that, again, Jörg, thank you for the invitation. I don't know that I've ever done a breakfast at 12:30 in the morning, but it's been a real treat. So thanks for everything, you guys. And Jörg, I'll see you in a couple of hours.
Yeah, I see you again in a couple of hours. That's a scary thought. That's a scary thought, actually. Jack, thank you for your time. If you like that breakfast at midnight hours, we can have that every month with you.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Before I hand over to Scott, for whom I really feel sorry because he has to go to office in 3 hours. One word about, if you can respond to the team. We see and hear and read a lot about consumer protection authorities in Germany and other European countries are posting articles about companies that are now promising miracle products and stuff like this. Do you see the same globally? Do you see the same in the US? And how important is it for you to or for us to stay compliant with what we say?
Jörg, was that a question for me or Scott?
That was a question for you or Scott. So.
Oh, yeah, I can certainly give you my perspective. Yeah, we actually have to even be more cautious now than we have been in the past. The regulatory environment tends to pounce on people who they view as exploiting a crisis. And here in the U.S., it's the Federal Trade Commission who governs product claims. And there is heightened scrutiny right now. We've already seen organizations that have gotten into trouble for making claims directly associated with the coronavirus. As we all know, that we can't make claims about our product, curing or preventing or any type of disease or anything like that. So we have to be even more cautious. And while we all know that our product serves an enormous purpose in times like this, and it's a product that everybody needs, we just have to make sure that we don't do or say anything that would put us at risk longer term. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the emotion of the moment when you're trying to tell somebody that they need to be taking this product, and sometimes say things that we shouldn't. And it's most dangerous on social media. Certainly in Zoom settings like this, where it's being recorded, where a regulator could potentially see it. We have to be mature about our approach to what we're saying and how we're saying it, and certainly not do anything that would be viewed as exploitive of a very, very difficult situation. So it's a great question, Jürgen, one that we're trying to get a reminder out to people as much as we can, just to let them know that there is a heightened sense right now of and sensitivity from a regulatory standpoint about how we position the product.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Yep, great
Appreciate
question.
that. Scott, I'm sorry for the delay, but it's up to you now. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Well, great. I appreciate the opportunity to spend a little time with everyone. It's early in the morning here, so I guess it's good morning to everyone. I'm going to go through a few numbers from the last 5 to 6 weeks, give everybody an idea of what's been happening on the operational side of the business. So I'm going to share my screen and share a couple things with you. Let's see. So hopefully everybody can see that. Is that good? I'm going to give you a little recap of what's been going on the operational side of the business. We've had a lot of challenges. About 80% of our associate support team has been working off-site. Our entire purchasing team, logistics team have all been working off-site. But the ones that haven't is actually our production team. We've been deemed an essential business, and we've continued to work. So in the month of March, to give you a little bit of perspective, we produced over 600,000 bottles of ASEA Redox product. That was a 21% increase over our previous high month last September. Part of that was done by, we increased our work hours from a 40-hour work week to 55 hours. What we did is we were able to run 11-hour shifts by staggering people's time when they came in, and we ran that 5 days a week. It was voluntary. We didn't compel anyone to work those kind of hours, but we had, because of this situation, we have a lot of people that work a second job, and a lot of that may be related to restaurants or food service, and so they actually had lost their second job, so they were happy to come in and help us the extra time. So 600,000 bottles in the month of March. We continued that into April. Last week, we set a single day production record. We had to work 13 and a half hours to do that. And that was 8,717 cases of ASEA Redox product in a single day. The amazing thing is one of our production leads was there for every hour of that 13 and a half hours. He had started the initial shift at 5 a.m. and we finished at 6:30 p.m. And that was last Thursday. There was some motivation behind that. People wanted to have Good Friday off, and they know that they're very dedicated to make sure that we have product throughout the world, but they were willing to put forth the extra effort to do that. So really appreciate the dedication of our production team. Moving on to some information on the logistics side of the business, 93,000 total orders for March were processed. Shipping has been a great challenge because of delays globally. That breaks down to just over 15,000 orders for Europe. And for the most part, most of the areas have been able to deliver. There have been some delays. There have been some areas that have been more difficult. But for the most part, it's been really a great effort by our partners and for those that are out actually delivering to individuals. 63 inventory transfers. Those are bulk shipments of product, meaning they go on a shipping container, most of it by sea. For North America, that would go by truck. So we had 63 inventory transfers for the month of March to 19 different warehouse locations globally. So very busy on the logistics side. There's some massive challenges we're dealing with. Fortunately for us, most of those challenges have not been in Europe as far as getting product delivered to those different locations. So we're really a great team effort there on our logistics side. Just some information from the associate support department. We handled at the corporate office almost 15,000 calls for the month of March. And keep in mind that most of those were handled remotely. Very few of our associate support team members work from home. And so for them to shift and work from home, especially with school being canceled, many of them have children at home. And so it's a really difficult situation to balance taking care of your children, actually doing their schoolwork and helping them with their schoolwork, and then doing your job as well. So appreciate that. If you've had any calls and you've heard maybe a barking dog in the background or children crying in the background, understand everybody's doing the best we can, and we certainly appreciate the patience that we've had with our associates. Nearly 10,000 emails processed through the corporate office on the associate support side, and most of those are answered and concluded. The goal is to have that in 24 hours or less. So we have a few that have been difficult with some of the languages, but for the most part, those have all been answered in completion for those emails. So a really busy time. Let's see, I'm gonna close that screen. I'm gonna bring up your actual inventory reports for Europe. And I very seldom share this report. It's not that it's secret. It's just it's how we run the business, and it's how we gauge demand globally. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull up the inventory demand and the actual inventory that's on site for the 3 warehouses in Europe. So let me pull that. This top line up here that I'm circling, this is actually the demand in total units in 2020 versus 2019. So to Chuck and Jarom's point, the business has continued to grow even during this difficult time, and we're well above what we had experienced last year as far as global demand. So I'm going to shift over and get specific to your warehouses there in Europe. The first one you're going to see here is the actual inventory as of Monday of this week in the Netherlands. What we do is we look at a burn rate, and a burn rate is a demand rate per day. So we average that over a 21-day period, a 14-day period, and then a 7-day period. So if you can see this over here where I'm moving the cursor, there's actually an increasing demand during this time in Europe. So for the last 3 weeks, the average shipments per day of cases of ASEA Redox has gone from 295 cases a day to 318 cases a day in Europe. So this is how we plan demand for your market. So we take those numbers and average 3 weeks is 305 cases per day. This is your actual current inventory that's in the warehouse in the Netherlands. So you see over 14,000 cases. We have a separate column right here for Denmark because it requires a separate label. And you have 77 days, almost 78 days of inventory. And then if you look down here, this is the numbers of days in transit. So there's another 80 days of inventory that are currently being shipped to the warehouse in the Netherlands. So if you add those two together, there's over 120 days of inventory specific to the European market. Normally that number combined is going to be 90 days. So we have increased inventory levels by 30 days globally in a 6-week period of time. So that's how we do this. You see over here, these are your welcome kits. We have the same demand for Renew 28. So you have plenty of Renew 28 in market, 14,000 tubes, another 14,000 tubes on the way. And then here's your 6-pack or 6 tube samples of Renew 28, some of your skincare, skin and body, and this goes out. But I wanted to go into a little bit of detail here and show you, even during this difficult time, we've managed to increase the inventory levels, just in case we would have additional inventory delays. But you're in great shape for everybody that gets their inventory out of the warehouse in the Netherlands. If we shift over to Norway, very similar situation, 70 days of inventory on hand based on your demand. Your demand numbers actually in Norway have decreased a little bit over the last 3 weeks. Norway is a little different, and we see this market at the end of each month usually increases, and that's probably due to some teams maximizing their commissions each month. And so in the last week, it's gone down a little bit. But if you look at the overall demand of 66 cases per day, you've got 70 days of inventory in the warehouse and another 100 days in transit. This 600 or 6,600 cases represents 2 shipping containers that are being shipped by ocean freight right now. So we're going to continue to do that. You've got a great supply of Renew. So if you're looking for any promotional items or things that you'd want to really go after right now, there's your inventory for Renew. The other warehouse there that we have to maintain in Switzerland, you have to have an in-country warehouse. Great amount of inventory there, 118 days on hand. and another 31 days in transit. This also has a country-specific label, and so that's how we track that demand. You're also in great shape on Renew 28. This inventory here always comes through the Netherlands and then is transferred to Switzerland. So that's how we meet the demand of some of these other items on your skincare and your Renew 28. I wanted to, give you an idea of the complexity at which we go through this, and just let you know that even though the time has been very, very difficult, we have continued to work very diligently. I have an incredible team of dedicated team members that show up every day. They're very happy. As Jörg said, we start very early in the morning, so the production facility will start running at 5 a.m. And the amazing thing to me is I'm usually there by that time as well. And to see the happy faces, because people want to work, they want to have some normalcy. And the fortunate thing for us living here in the United States, in the state of Utah, is we haven't been heavily impacted by this virus. And although there's been many restrictions put in place, we're still able to support the business. We appreciate that fact. And we appreciate each one of you and your efforts. It's interesting to see that during this difficult time, the demand for our product has increased. We came off a record production month, but we had to do that in March because we came off a record sales month as well. So that's a testament to the power of the product. We appreciate the opportunity to work and to provide this product, provide the logistical support. It's very challenging, but we're up for the challenge. And from the associate support side, it's been amazing to see people step up and work many additional hours. We actually, from an associate support side, we're open 22 hours a day. And as we've sat here on this call, it's almost 1 a.m. here in Utah. And I continue to get emails. Now they're coming in from Asia and early morning in Europe. So the business is turned on many hours of the day, 22 of the 24 hours of the day, and appreciate the opportunity to share some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. I know there's been concerns for inventory levels, but as you can see, you're in great shape in our Europe markets. And we really appreciate what you're doing there, that you're continuing to grow your business and allow us to do what we do really well. So thanks for your time tonight. It's great to be on the call, and hopefully I can get a little sleep.
Hey,
Thank you
Jörg,
very much.
I just gotta say something about Scott. When we were on the very front end of this curve of the pandemic, and it was just starting to come, we were just starting to get a sense of the severity of it. What Scott just showed you was a recognition by Scott and his team that we didn't know at that point whether we were going to stay open or not from a manufacturing standpoint. And so they hit the accelerator and started just mass producing as much products as they could, not knowing what the impact was going to be. We could have very well been shut down in Utah and not been able to manufacture product for the last month and a half. So it was a real testament to Scott and his team's foresight to be able to get our inventory levels around the world at a place that even if we had a catastrophic event like a shutting down of production plant, we still would have probably had enough safety stock to get us through something like that.
Thanks for this, Chuck. Thanks, Scott and Jarom and Chuck again. From our point of view here, from a European affiliate, I must admit it's good to know that you guys are at the steering wheel of this boat. It really makes me feel comfortable and proud and happy to work for this company. Thank you very much. It's up to you if you want to listen to our good fellow Edouard now, or if you want to go to bed. I think for Scott, it's about time to get a shower and to get to the office. But I would like to hand over to Edouard, who would give an update on upcoming promotions and incentives. Thank you very much again. Thanks.
Thank you, Jörg, and good morning to everybody. Thank you very much to Scott, Jarom, and Scott as well for the update. Well, I hope that you are all in a good health Well, of course, we are in difficult times, but we would like to share with you some very positive news. So I would like to share my screen with you. So the first very good news, you might have seen this already. This is the ranking of the top 100 direct selling companies. Every year among March or April, this ranking is released. And well, if you remember last year, ASEA was ranked at the place 77. And this year, well, the very good news is that we rank advanced by more than 30 places, meaning that we are now at the place number 44, which is very, very positive and very good for a company which is only 10 years old. The second figure, which is very relevant and very interesting, is the growth. So this is also ranking, but for the in percentage, meaning the fastest growing direct selling companies in 2019. So of course, in this ranking, you have many, many new companies, many, many startup companies, because it's very easy, or it's easier to go from 1 million revenue to 2 million revenue. And this is 100% increase. But if you take all the companies with a minimum of 150 million US dollar revenue, you will see that ASEA is ranked at the place number 8. So again, I think this is very, very positive. And I can only encourage you to share these figures with your group and also with your prospect. Well, there is another point which is not in the slide here, but I would like to mention. Jarom talked about this already a bit. This is our 10 years anniversary this year. Well, we would love to celebrate more physically with you, but at least we can do it virtually. Well, 10 years old, maybe this can appear as a small step. But the reality is different. The reality is that around 40% of the companies, they need to close within their first 5 years of existence. So reaching these 10 years is a very important milestone. And I believe that we can all be very proud of this anniversary. Well, the second point, of course, we want to support you with tools, but we also want to support you with action. We want to support you even more during those difficult times where no physical meetings can take place. So I believe some of you might know this incentive already, because this was implemented already in the United States. And we decided to extend this promotion to Europe. And the name of this promotion is Kickstart Your Fast Start. So this is an enrollment-driven promotion. How does that work? This is very easy. Every time you enroll a new associate and this person is ordering between 200 and 399 PV for the enrollment order, this new person gets the free shipping. If the order is more than 400 PV, then this person gets not only the free shipping, but also the free enrollment. So if you accumulate both of them, the shipping and the enrollment fee, you can save, or the new people, the new associates joining ASEA can save up to 56 euro at the enrollment. We will launch today, so the 15th of April. This will last a month, so until May 15. So of course this is for Europe, but America is doing the same, and also Australia and New Zealand do implement this promotion. So we hope that this will be a good tool, and this will support you during your Zoom meeting when you talk to your prospect. Well, the third point is our Desert Rose incentive. Well, we ASEA, we do reward you financially when you share your story. We reward you financially when you within the ASEA family, but we also want you to experience trips. Well, many of you did experience and enjoyed the the European trip to South Africa 2 years ago. Many of you also in this call did enjoy the trip to Finland, to the Polar Circle in December last year. We also have Ascent, we also have the Diamond Summit, and we just launched our 2020 European incentive trip. So, of course, the destination is not a secret anymore. This will be in the beautiful place of Marrakesh, but we would like to share you some more detail today. Well, I can understand that maybe it's difficult for you to imagine traveling right now as we speak today. But I believe that the experience will be even more beautiful once we will be able to travel, once we will be in position to travel again. So this is why we would like to show you some more impression of our trip today already. So I will not be very objective because I love Marrakesh, but those are the impression we can give you. We will discover and enjoy the palm grove. We will visit many monuments which are at the UNESCO World Heritage, like the Medina, like the Kutubia Mosque, like the Square Jamefna. So those are all very beautiful places. We will of course feel the Atlas Mountains and enjoy the delicious traditional Moroccan tagine. We will of course visit the souk. So this will be a perfect occasion for all of us to practice our bargaining skills. We will of course see the Majorelle Garden, very famous places in Marrakesh which belong to Yves Saint Laurent. The jeep tour to a Berber camp, and of course this is a must to do in Morocco, the camel ride. So let's go over some more detail very quickly. So we just launched this incentive last week, so the 4th of April. This is a 6-month incentive, so until the 18th of September. The trip will take place in November, so you can already mark the dates from the 12th to the 15th of November in your calendar. This is a European incentive only. So if you're registered in our market, you can participate. So it doesn't matter if you just started with ASEA or if you're already a diamond, you all have equal chances to participate to this incentive. And you don't need to be a network marketing expert, because we keep the criteria very easy, very simple to understand. This is based on your PGV3 growth, and we will see in a minute more in detail what does that mean. So I think you are all used to the binary tree at ASEA, your left leg and your right leg. But for this incentive, we completely forget about this binary tree, and the only thing that matters is our personal sponsorship tree. So this is what we call PGV3. This is your volume, the volume of the associate you did sponsor personally. So this is your first generation, the 3 people here. The associate in your second generation, and the associate in your third generation. So all the volume in yellow here, this is what we call your PGV3 volume from your personal sponsorship tree. So all the associate, how does that work? All the associate, you will all receive, or you did all receive already a basis volume. This basis volume is very simple. This is your performance. This is your volume from the last 6 months. And the purpose of this incentive is very easy. What you need to keep in mind is that you need to reach exactly the same volume than the last 6 months, plus a small incremental volume, a volume of 12,000 PGV3. In other words, and to have maybe a better example, this represents 5 more cases of ASEA per week. So we don't talk here about personal volume. Again, we talk about volume in your first 3 generation. So 5 more cases ASEA per week. And I invite all of you to log in, if you didn't do this already, to log into your virtual office, and you will all see your basis volume, and you will all see the volume you need to reach to qualify for this trip to Marrakesh. of course, we have different places. So the more you do, the better rewards you will get. So we have the fourth prize, second prize, third prize, second prize, and first prize. We also have different tools in many languages to help you to promote this incentive in your team. Well, we have a flyer, we have a PowerPoint presentation to help you to present this, and of course, we have a promotional video about the trip, about Marrakesh, and about all the activities we will do. And the last point is this is a team incentive. So PGV3, we do reward the teamwork here. So this is, of course, very, very important that you work as a team to qualify for this incentive. And well, this trip follows and validates the principle of network marketing, because this is all based on your success, and your success is all based on the success of the others and the success of your team. So I can only encourage you to take this opportunity. I can encourage you to exchange and discuss with your leaders and with all the associates who did experience the trip in South Africa and who did experience the trip in Finland last year. Well, with those words, I would like to hand over to Jörg to share some more words and conclude this call this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eduard, for sharing this great news about the incentives and promotions upcoming in the next couple of weeks. I think for me that was a great call. I appreciate that our executive team from Salt Lake City is joining us whenever we ask them, even if they have to join us at weird hours. I hope everyone on this call goes out with the feeling of being released and relaxed, and feeling of comfort that this company is the right company to be in with, in particular in these days. As Jacques mentioned it, Scott mentioned it, and Jarom mentioned it, I want to repeat it. I think we will come out of this difficult time stronger than before, and that this industry will come out of this crisis stronger than before, and that we will get way more awareness and positive thoughts about the way we do business. With this, I wish you a great day. I hope you all stay safe and healthy, and see you all soon again. Thank you very much.